Jeff Duncan, Josh Katzenstein with NOLA.com here at Wembley Stadium, a little more than 2 hours before kickoff of the Saints-Dolphins, and you can see the stadium has not even allowed fans in yet. There's still a few players out on the field getting some early workouts here. It's a cold, typical British day. Cold, bleak, kind of gray.
I like to use the word dreary.
Yeah, dreary. I don't know if the conditions are going to get any worse. Right now it's perfect for football, but if there is some rain involved later on, that could obviously affect the passing game. Look, this is your second time here, right?
Third time.
Third time here. What can fans expect when they watch the game today? Did you get any bad weather last time you covered games here?
I believe one time it drizzled, but it was nothing like crazy and it didn't really impact the game. I think one thing fans should expect, well, first of all, don't be surprised if they're cheering at odd times. A lot of these fans are just happy to be watching an American football game. A lot of them get really excited during special teams plays because they can relate to the idea of kicking the ball, whether it's punting or field goals or even kickoffs. So don't be surprised if you're a little, taken aback by them cheering at just the idea of a kickoff. And then another thing, when you see crowd shots, it won't be all Saints or Dolphins. A lot of the fans here are just fans of American football that want to come out and watch the sport. So there will be fans from all 32 NFL teams. You'll see all sorts of jerseys from around the league, from different eras. So it will be a little bit different, but ultimately, the game will be the same.
And we've already seen a lot of Saints fans working our way into the stadium. We saw Saints fans out last night in downtown London, and I saw a lot of Dolphins fans out last night. So good, healthy contingents for both teams here. A lot of people making the trip over, and then probably just a lot of expats over here in London with their chance to see the teams. Now let's talk a little bit about this game. This is, I think, a critical game for both teams in a lot of ways. I know it's early in the season, but man, if the Saints can kind of take advantage of what happened last week where they got some momentum going, won that big game in Carolina, they would have to feel good about themselves if they can go 2-2 into this open date after starting the season so poorly at 0-2.
Yeah, absolutely. If the Saints win, the common phrase we'll hear after the game is that everything is in front of us, with regards to the rest of the season. Because once you're 2-2, I mean, that you could still go 14-2, and that doesn't matter what's going to, happen. I guess, they'll have a chance to contend for the division, contend for the playoffs, all of those things. But I must say that, this game is critical for the Dolphins. They're very much in a similar situation that the Saints were last week against Carolina. Obviously, the Saints were 0-2, the Dolphins are 1-1, but after losing to the Jets, I mean, this has to be a team that is hungry for a win. They want to prove that they're not as bad as they, looked last week. So I'm sure they'll try to bounce back. One thing to note, I don't even know the guy's name, but Byron Maxwell is being benched for one of their reserve cornerbacks who's been inactive so far this season. So we'll see if the Saints wide receivers can take advantage of that. Also, don't be surprised if Austin Carr is playing. There's been some issues so far, communication issues between Drew Brees and Tommy Lee Lewis. So there's a chance Carr might be active. And Willie Snead also might not be available because he's dealing with a hamstring injury. So we'll see, exactly how the Saints line up. But definitely you would think a young, inexperienced cornerback for the Dolphins should play into the favor of the Saints.
Yes, and let's face it, the Dolphins have to be a little travel weary at this point. They have yet to play a home game all year because of Hurricane Irma. They ended up starting their season out in Los Angeles. Then they played at the New York Jets last week. Now all the way over here in London. They've got to be a little travel weary and probably ready for a home game. And I would think that the Saints can take advantage of that somehow, maybe in the fourth quarter of this game. But look, we will have tons of coverage here. Myself, Amos Morale, Josh, and also our photographer, Michael DeMacher here. We have the largest local contingent of any media outlet in New Orleans. We'll have blanket coverage all day long, and then we'll be back after the game with another Facebook Live post right here from Wembley Stadium. For Josh Katzenstein, Jeff Duncan, thanks for joining us.